Mention the name Robert Burns to anyone these days, and invariably people will think of this, 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 and this.
Burns Cottage in Alloway pretty much sums up most people's knowledge of the Burns myth. But does Alloway really have that much to do with the poems Robert Burns wrote? Does it have anything to do with any of the people he met who inspired him? Is it in any way connected with the people he loved? The things he wrote about are the things that mattered most to him in his life. Oh, well, then again, there was always Brig O'Doon.
Come on! The Longlegs are after us! Come on! I'm going as fast as I can! Come on!
So just who was this guy? This Rabbie? This Robert of the Bonny Glen? Who's the real person behind this ridiculous monster who crops up into our lives once a year, spouts something about haggis, sings Auld Lang Syne, and is either thought of as some rambling romantic or as some rabid philanderer who shagged his way up and down the country? We're going to try to see beyond all that piffle.
To do that, we're going to have a look at the places that shaped his life, the people he met and the times he lived in. We're going to look at the people he fell in love with and the life he lived that led him to write the poems that spawned a legend and created a stupid, ridiculous myth.
Where are we going, Thomas?
Mount Oliphant.
Mount Elephant?
Shut up. The cottage at Alloway was Burns' home for the first 7 years of his life. But life at Mount Oliphant was lonelier than they had been accustomed to.
We lived very sparingly for years. The butcher's meat, I was a stranger in our house. All the members of the family exerted themselves to the utmost, and rather beyond it, in the labours of the farm.
On a lighter note, it was here where he had his first fling with a lassie.
Oh, this is more like it.
Yes, her name was Nellie. He wrote a poem about her.
That was nice of him.
Yeah, and he never, did the deed with her. But I understand
How old was he when he managed that?
he was 15.
Well, that's more than I managed, certainly. So, he was here till he was 18. Where did he go next?
The name of the new farm was Loch The soil was better than at Mount Oliphant, although the small loch from which it took its name was still undrained, as it is today. The land tended to be sour and marshy.
So this is Lochleigh Farm. This is where they moved after they left Mount Oliphant. But the life didn't get much easier here. It actually got a bit harder.
Burns's father knew he was dying. He tried to say comforting words to his family. But then he repeated, there was one member for whose future conduct he feared.
They took their father's body back to Alloway. He lies buried in the graveyard of the old ruined church, close to the cottage he had built for his bride.
Where are you going? This is Mauchline Farm, where Robert Burns moved to with his brother Gilbert after his father died.
Burns was now the head of a household of 8. Yet again they found themselves struggling with stubborn clay and waterlogged fields.
Ah, for Christ's sake, could they not find a decent farm?
Farming was different then, Thomas.
To escape the drudgery of farming, I tried my hand at flax dressing. Work in the dust-filled sheds was every bit as hard in the hands as harvesting. I found myself dragged down into illness and depression. His partner in Irvine was a scoundrel, and by his drunken carelessness burnt down the premises.
I take it that was the end of the flax dressing business then?
Yeah. By this time, Burns has a daughter born out of wedlock to Elizabeth Peyton, former servant at Lochleigh.
But it was while he was staying at Mossgiel that he did some socialising in Mauchline. And then life really got interesting.
Right,
Right, so this is where Robert Burns used to come and have a walk. He used to come here walking with his dog, apparently. He'd come down from the farm and he'd just wander about here, and that's where he met people, isn't it?
Yes, well, the story goes that he's walking his dog down here, which was the bleaching green, where all the women did their washing and stuff, and the dog ran over the washing. And of course, Jean Armour wasn't happy about this, so she had to go at the dog, and Robert Burns exchanged some words with her, and that was his first meeting with Jean Armour, the only woman who became his actual wife.
The irate father of Jean definitely does not want the notorious womanising Robert for a son-in-law, even though by this time she is pregnant.
He sends his daughter away to relatives in Paisley and issues a writ under pressure from the law against Robert Burns. Robert Burns flees the parish and is now in hiding. Beset by love affairs and the hound-like determination of the Armour family, Burns decides to emigrate to Jamaica.
In other words, he ran away.
Aye.
Out of desperation, Burns tried to raise the fare to Jamaica by getting some of his work published. He had friends in Mauchline who helped him, including Gavin Hamilton, who was also his landlord and lawyer.
This is Gavin Hamilton's house.
The poems are published, and miracle of miracles, they are a great success.
Jean Armour's father, the man who vowed never to let the poet near his daughter, has welcomed him with open arms. Once more, Jean and Robert are an item.
In fact, the whole town of Mauchline is an item. Forget about Alloway. Mauchline was Burns's main inspiration.
Most of his famous and best work was here, and a lot of it about people he knew here, and they're still here. Pussy Nancy's, the famous pub featured in The Jolly Beggars.
Jag måste lova Burns. Slick it room, the mistake. Oh, what the fun I can I mistake.
There's not but care on every hand, and every hour that passes, oh, what signifies the life of man if it wasn't for the lasses, oh, green grow the rashes, oh, green grow the rashes, oh, the sweetest hours that e'er I spent were spent among the rashes, oh.
Robert Burns' poems were about lots of things. Once he even wrote a poem about a little mouse he saw scurrying along the fields.
Can you say his name? Robert Burns? Yes. Robert Burns?
Sorry?
No, it's not no. Do you pay for that shortbread?
And though at last
Do you pay for that shortbread? Did you steal that? No, well. Right, for God's sake. Right, let's stop the car. Stop the car.
I'm not giving my money to that con there.
Just do like a couple of fucking days.
That was your fault.
Stop the car.
hours that e'er I spent were spent among the lashes, oh. But give me a canny hour routine, my arms about my dear,